Hello, friends. Before telling you the following story, let me quote a famous novelist. All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. It's been many years since these words were written, but yet again we get to see how deep their meaning is. For most people, family is something precious and sacred, something that needs to be cared for and protected. Family becomes a fortress only when several important rules are followed. Love each other and make sure everyone is happy. An American, Kevin Howard, followed these exact rules in his marriage to Joyce for over 12 years. Of course, they had some disagreements and fights over the years, but overall, Kevin and Joyce consider themselves to be the happiest people on earth. All their friends and family would literally tell them how lucky they were to have each other. It all began when Kevin fell in love with a pretty girl named Joyce. It was love at first sight, and after a year of romance, Kevin proposed. At the time, he felt that this relationship would last for life. He tried his best to be a great and generous husband. He worked for the good of the family and could only see his future with Joyce. Soon, the couple had children and they had bought a beautiful family house in South Carolina, where Kevin planned to grow old. But one day, their seemingly perfect marriage was suddenly over. It was a regular morning. Kevin was making breakfast for his family, making plans for the day and the weekend, which he was going to spend outside with his children and wife. There was no sign of trouble, only Joyce seemed preoccupied. Suddenly, she came up to her husband and told him she wants a divorce. Her words sounded like thunder on a clear day to Kevin. After all, there was no indication. He sincerely couldn't understand where this was coming from, but being a level-headed man, Kevin asked his wife not to rush into anything and give him a chance to make things right if he'd hurt her in any way or had done anything wrong. But unfortunately, Joyce was adamant in her decision. Kevin could never have thought that his wife would do this to him. After all, they lived together for so many years. But what was the most interesting is that Joyce wouldn't give him a reason for the divorce. He decided to find out why his beloved wife, the woman he used to trust and respect, was in such a rush to divorce him. No one knew the reason, not friends, not acquaintances, not even relatives. They only shrugged and supported Kevin. Trying to figure out what happened, he had no choice but to hire a private investigator. And only a few days later, the PI found evidence confirming that Joyce was having an affair. It's hard to imagine how hurt and betrayed Kevin must have felt, especially since he was shocked to learn that his wife decided to leave him for her colleague, who had been to their home repeatedly. He brought gifts for their children and spent time with the family. Kevin was shocked because he knew this man well and even considered him to be a friend. It was a double blow, getting betrayed by his wife and his friend at the same time. Kevin was on the verge of an emotional breakdown and depression, but seeing a psychologist helped him come out of it and start over again. He didn't make any scenes and simply let his wife go, but his pride and his desire to teach his wife's lover a lesson were overwhelming. So he came up with a brilliant plan. Kevin decided to sue her wife's lover for $750,000 in compensation for moral damages and psychologist expenses. By the way, for the American courts, this kind of lawsuit is not all that surprising. There's a law in the U.S. on the alienation of affection. According to this law, if one of the spouses has an affair, the other one has a right to sue him or her or their lover for damages brought by purposeful interference with a marriage, which resulted in alienation of affection of the spouse. Most of the U.S. states have abolished this law a long time ago, but it is still active in North Carolina, as well as in some other states: Mississippi, New Mexico, South Dakota, Utah, and the Hawaiian Islands. But even there, only a few people have ever chosen to use it. Kevin, however, decided to go all the way. For the court to make a decision in Kevin's favor, he needed to prove that the couple was happy until the outside interference. He managed to collect reliable proof of their beautiful marriage. He had countless pictures depicting the happy family, and he also had the support of his neighbors and friends. Kevin Howard insisted in court that it wasn't about the money. I filed the case because I feel that it is very important that people understand that the sanctity of marriage is important, especially in this day and age when people question everyone's morals, people question everyone's liability of a person, and the state backed me up on it, he said. Howard's lawyer said that she's had cases in her practice when similar amounts were paid for alienation of affection. The largest amount paid on a similar case in her practice was $5.9 million, and the smallest was only $60,000. But 2019 will most likely be the last year for this law in the U.S. As for Kevin, he received $750,000 and divorced his wife. Now he is busy healing his emotional scars and is planning to invest some of the money in real estate and spend the rest on his children and himself. What do you think, friends? Did the husband do the right thing in this situation? Be sure to let us know what you think in the comments. That's it for today. Till next time.